I bought a house when I was 26 and fell immediately into poverty.
Yeah, I'm gonna be house poor. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna afford food. I don't know how I'm gonna afford gas. I don't know what I'm doing. Who let me do this? Who let me do this?
$14 on my personal checking account, 20K in my business bank account. I have exactly 4 months left to live in New York City before I need to tap into my investments and savings. But honestly, I don't think this is stupid.
Today, we're going to be taking a look at people who can't afford the house they bought, starting with someone who signed an $8,000 a month lease with $14 in his checking account.
Signing my bank account away right now. I got probably 3 months left to live. There's this saying called burning the boats. It's basically getting rid of the way that you came so that you just need to figure it out. And that is why me and my roommate just signed an $8,000 apartment from the most expensive city in the United States. This is probably the most financially stupid decision I've ever made in my life. That's why I genuinely believe that blowing all my money on a luxury apartment in the most expensive city in the United States is gonna activate my survival instincts once again and make me the richest version of myself. I am terrified, but I'm gonna do it. So follow to either laugh at me or be inspired. I got probably 3 months left to live.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 12 months left, but yeah.
Now, technically, he didn't buy a house, he signed a lease, but I had to open with this one because it's the purest version of the philosophy this whole video runs on. He's calling it burning the boats. Deliberately manufacturing desperation as a productivity hack. And watch the numbers move. 3 months left to live, then exactly 4 months, and his roommates got 12. Nobody in that apartment agrees on when the boats actually finish burning. Yes, going all in worked for him once, that's exactly why this is dangerous. The people it didn't work for don't have 500,000 followers to tell you about it. Survival instincts are not a business plan. They're a stress response with rent due.
I bought a house I technically can't afford. My name is Ruby. I just became a first-time home buyer, and please don't go in on me too bad when I say this, but I more than likely knew I was going to be house poor before I even bought my house. But before I go any further, I do want to say I don't regret it at all. Buying a house was still the best decision I've ever made. But I was already struggling when I was renting, and maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to buy a house and add extra bills on me and add extra things on me. But hey, here we are. I bought a house solely on my income. So what I was qualified for, I pretty much had to kind of buy at the max of what I was pre-approved for. And that's because the housing market is just ridiculously expensive right now. If I would have bought a house way lower than I was pre-approved for, I would be living in a freaking shack, and that just was not possible for me. To be honest, I didn't even have a lot of money saved up. When I bought a house, I used my tax return, and that pretty much took the bulk of it. So after I closed, I did not really have a lot of savings.
Bought at the max of her pre-approval, down payment from a tax return, nothing left after closing. And I want to zero in on the pre-approval part because this trips up so many first-time buyers. The bank's pre-approval number is not a recommendation. It's the absolute ceiling of risk they're willing to take on you before they think you'll default. Buying at the max is like a doctor telling you the maximum dose that won't kill you and taking exactly that. Now, her logic, I'd rather be broke in my house than broke in someone else's, has some real truth to it, fixed payment, building equity. The catch is that rent is the most you'll pay in a month and a mortgage is the least.
I'm in the process of buying my very first house as a 28-year-old with no kids. I'm not married. I am in a relationship. I close in 7 days, and I feel like I should be super excited right now and happy, but in reality, I am terrified. And I am so nervous, and I want to back out, but it is literally way too late in the process for me to back out. And I've missed my last chance to do that. And so now I am just sitting here and regretting my decision, but we're just gonna have to make it work. We're gonna have to figure it out. And yeah, I'm gonna be house poor. I don't know how I'm gonna afford food. I don't know how I'm gonna afford gas. I don't know what I'm doing. Who let me do this? Who let me do this?
7 days before closing, she doesn't know how she'll afford food, and she believes it's too late to back out. So let me say this clearly for anyone in this exact position, because it matters. It is almost never actually too late until you sign at the closing table. Walking away late in the process usually costs you your earnest money deposit, a few $1,000s, and it stings. But a few $1,000s is the cheapest exit you will ever get from a 30-year payment you already know you can't make. And as for who let me do this, the answer is a lender. And a lender's approval is not advice. It's an invoice waiting to happen.
We bought a house that we can't afford, and we have 44 days to make our first mortgage payment on August 1st. Let's just let that sink in for a little bit because I'm stressing. Not only that, but we have to paint our house before we move in. There's a hardwood flooring all over the house, which needs to be refinished, which we have also never done. There's just a lot that's going to be happening within the next couple weeks that we have no idea how we're going to make it through. We also have 3 girls that are 4 and under, and I'm also pregnant with our 4th. It'll be pretty busy. This is literally our dream house, and there's no way I'm letting this house go. We got to make this my full-time job. Okay, bye.
44 days until the first mortgage payment. No idea how they'll make it. 3 kids under 4, a 4th on the way, floors they've never refinished, and the plan is, direct quote, "We got to make this my full-time job." And by this, she means the TikTok account. The house's payment plan is documenting the house's payment plan. This is a whole genre now. Buy the dream house first, then hope the content about not affording it pays for it. And for every family where the algorithm shows up on time, there are thousands where it doesn't. And the bank does. A dream house you're praying through is just a very pretty stress machine.
I'm about to close on a house. It's a $330,000 house that I put 18% down. So I put $60,000 down. So the house comes in bare. It doesn't have a refrigerator, nothing at all. And of course, those are the things that I have to buy. And I'm just wondering, how should I go about it without getting into debt?
Did you know, I have to ask, going into buying this house, did you know that there wasn't going to be any appliances inside?
Yes, I did know.
So what's your plan?
So I have, I put aside, I still have like 20,000, my saved up, to just get things at really bare minimum. And I have lived 35 years without having to ever buy furniture. So everything's going to be brand. I have to get everything from beds to fridge to washer and dryer.
Yeah. That 20,000, was that your emergency fund?
Correct.
I don't want you to use your emergency fund for something that's not an emergency.
So let's just play pretend a minute. You close on a $330,000 house. You spend your last $20,000 furnishing it. The next day, something's going to go wrong, and you have no money.
Right.
That's why Jay doesn't want you to spend your emergency fund.
So how should I do about it? How should I go about it?
Well, that was your plan, to move into the house broke.
Yeah.
That was your plan, to move into the house broke. Yeah, every dollar he has left on Earth is $20,000, and the plan was to convert all of it into a fridge, a washer, a dryer, and a bed on day one on roughly $75,000 a year. Here's the thing about furniture that nobody making this mistake believes. An empty room costs $0 a month. You can live with a mattress and a secondhand fridge for 6 months, and the house does not care. What the house does care about is the water heater it's planning to detonate in month 2, and that's exactly what the emergency fund was for.
Triple the median income, yet you are late on a credit card. You're not paying on it.
Yeah.
Good! First step! Why not make any payment? Why have such a credit score? Your choice. Why do that? Why live in this situation?
When I first bought my house and I first moved in and everything, I did not have enough money to cover all of my bills.
Then you couldn't have afforded a
when I calculated my payment up and everything, I was $200 short based on how much I was making. But I had a plan.
How'd you get approved?
My credit score was really good, and my
that is not
my
everything.
income.
But you said with your income you were 200 short.
Well, I was estimating everything. I was estimating the water and the electric, and
if you see you're 200 short, why would you get it? Why would you possibly fucking get it?
I needed a house, and
you didn't. You could have rented. No, you did not.
I didn't want to rent, and then I have my
what? But you could have.
I have my little puppy dog. So it was
I've had my puppy dog in apartments.
She did the math before buying. The math said she'd be $200 short every single month. She bought the house anyway because she had a plan, and the plan appears to have been vibes. This might be the most fascinating one in the episode because it's not ignorance. She ran the budget. The budget said no. Most people in this video never calculated anything. She calculated a monthly loss and signed up for 360 of them. And the justification tour ends at "I have my little puppy dog," to which the interviewer gives the correct response. Dogs rent. Millions of dogs are renting as we speak. The puppy did not need a mortgage.
I officially have $0 to my name because I just took out every penny that I've ever saved. And this is on top of the deposit I've already made to buy a house. And wow, down payments are really large and I'm broke now.
Now, if this clip looks familiar, that's because we featured it in our Living Above Their Means video. But I had to bring it back because it's basically the thesis statement of this entire episode in 18 seconds. $0 to her name on closing day, which is the exact moment home ownership starts charging you for things. This is the rule the last few clips keep proving. The down payment is not supposed to be everything you have. If buying the house takes you to zero, you can't afford the house yet, you can only afford the purchase. Those are different things, and the house knows the difference.
I bought a house when I was 26 and fell immediately into poverty. Okay, when I lived with my parents, I was living my best luxury lifestyle. I went to South Korea, bought a 2000 plane ticket, didn't even blink twice. I went shopping, luxury goods, all that. Was traveling, was just, I was living it up. I felt rich. I had no bills. And I had a full-time 9-to-5 job. I was working as a nurse. Okay, I was killing it. I bought my own house. That first mortgage payment came in and I was like, oh, this is a situation. But at first you think you can handle it, right? Like, what's a couple thou? What's a couple thou? I got it. But then the pipes in my 80-year-old home broke immediately as soon as I bought the house. Wiped out my savings. Then another pipe in a different area of the house broke. Okay, I'm struggling. Okay, I need help. Then my neighbor's pipe, it was a twin house, her pipe broke. And she didn't believe that her pipe broke, but her pipe broke on my side of the house. So all of that water that was coming down was spraying into my home. And then my water heater broke. When I tell y'all, I went from living in the lap of luxury to destitute immediately. Now, don't get me to fooling y'all, because it was worth it in the long run, because that house is now worth like 2 times what it was worth then. So I'm actually doing pretty good. But at the time, when I tell you I was struggling, I had to go to my parents every other day for dinner because your girl could not feed herself.
4 separate plumbing disasters, including her neighbor's pipe bursting into her side of the house, which is a level of bad luck that feels personal. This is the 80-year-old house experience. Character, charm, and original 1940s plumbing waiting for a new owner to introduce itself to. If you're buying old, the inspection priorities are plumbing, electrical, roof, foundation in that order, and budget like one of them fails in year 1. Now, her ending, the house doubled in value, so it worked out. True, but notice how she survived long enough to see it. Free dinner at her parents' every other day. Home equity is wonderful, you just can't eat it.
Transparency post. I regret buying a house. I regret it a lot. If I could go back to January 2022, I would tell that girl, do not. Just find another apartment to move into, because doing all this shit that I have to do for this house and all the unexpected costs, high dollar unexpected costs that I keep running into, to be handling it by myself, it's ass. So to all you young women who want to go out and buy a home, I encourage you to really, really think about it. Talk to some people and really see the ins and outs. I mean, it always sounds good. Oh yeah, your mortgage is only going to be $1,000 until they reevaluate your property taxes, and that bitch goes up $200. It's trash. 85 degrees, your AC is going to go out. You don't want to know how much that costs. It's trash.
Your mortgage is only going to be $1,000 until they reassess your property taxes and it goes up $200. This is the dirty secret of the fixed rate mortgage. The loan is fixed. The payment isn't. Property taxes and homeowners insurance ride along inside most payments through escrow. and both of those get repriced whenever the county or the insurer feels like it, which lately is constantly. And she's right about the act too. The house waits for the hottest week of the year every time and then hands you a bill with a comma in it. Solo home ownership means every one of those bills has exactly one name on it.
I think I fully regret buying a house now. Like, it's not the worst choice I ever made, but it's so expensive. But at the same time, it's exactly what rent would be costing me anyways. I'm almost an hour away from where I want to be and almost an hour away from work. It's a lot of upkeep, a lot of maintenance. I feel like the housing market could crash at any minute, and interest rates were high when I bought it, and so were prices. I rationalized it by telling myself, well, it's the same amount as rent, and I should get something back out of it at the end of the day. Which honestly, at this point, might not even be true. And I'm far away from everything, and I have an hour-long commute, and I'm tired, and I'm in a 3-bedroom house, and I live alone. I'm very thankful that I'm able to do this. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if it was the right choice, and I'm stressing over it right now. And I've only been here for like 8 months. I don't know what to do.
It's the same amount as rent, except it isn't, and she's finding out why. The mortgage might equal rent, but rent doesn't come with upkeep, maintenance, taxes, or a lawn, and it definitely doesn't come with a 2-hour daily commute. This is the drive till you qualify trap. You can't afford the house near your life, so you buy the house an hour from your life and pay the difference in gas, time, and exhaustion. She's alone in a 3-bedroom house she doesn't want to be in, 8 months deep. Buying a house isn't the goal, buying the right house is. Owning the wrong one is just renting stress, with equity.
So we bought a house that we could not afford. And I don't mean like tight budget afford. I mean, we had no idea what it actually cost every month. $700,000 in Los Angeles County. We were 27. We saved a down payment. We signed everything. We thought that was the hard part. It was not the hard part. I'm Matty. I'm a teacher, and my husband is literally an accountant, and we're still figuring out how to pay off this house. This is that story, and I'm telling everything.
Not everything.
A teacher and an accountant bought a $700,000 house in Los Angeles County at 27 without knowing what it actually cost every month. An accountant. His entire profession is knowing what things cost every month. It's like a lifeguard drowning in the shallow end, but it proves something we see constantly. Financial knowledge and financial behavior are two completely different muscles. They did the hard, disciplined part, saving a down payment in LA, genuinely impressive, and then treated the finish line of saving as the finish line of math. The down payment is the ticket to the game, the monthly cost is the game.
My husband and I made a huge mistake. We moved into a house about 2 months ago, and with the housing market being so crazy and lots of competition for homes, we made a mistake of buying a house for more than we wanted to spend. We paid over list and appraisal, and we're now in a house that we just feel like we can't afford the mortgage payment. It also has a pool that is much more of an expense than we thought it would be. The house needs a lot of repairs, and some things have come up in the last couple of months that we didn't realize were going to need to be repaired right away. So my question is, should we plan on selling it or stay for at least 2 years and then not have to worry about capital gains? But if we sell it now, we would probably walk away with, losing about 40 grand.
There is no capital gain when you lose money.
Right. But on the odd chance if we were
if you break even, there's no capital gain. Capital gain would only occur if you made a profit.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like that's a problem. So what's your house payment?
Well, that's the other thing too. It's more than what we thought it would be. With the property taxes are going to be more than we had planned for. So with property taxes and insurance, it's about $2,300 a month.
And what's your monthly take-home pay in your household?
About $9,000.
They're strategizing around capital gains taxes on a sale that would lose them $40,000. There is no capital gain when you lose money is a sentence a radio host had to say out loud twice, but here's the twist that makes this one interesting. $20,300 a month on $9,000 take home is about 26% of their income. That's actually within every guideline that exists. On paper, they can afford this house. What they can't afford is everything they attach to it. Paying overlist A&D over appraisal, meaning they covered the gap in cash, a pool drinking money, surprise repairs. The house isn't the problem. The bidding war they won is. Sometimes winning the house is how you lose.
Hi, my name's Jermaine. I regret buying my house for a few reasons, but here's the main one. Interest. Guys, I am convinced that I have the highest interest rate in the UK. I purchased my house in February 2024 when the interest rates in the UK were sky high. So I absolutely knew what I was getting myself into. However, when you're excited, you kind of forget about the reality of the situation, but it's fully kicking in right now. So let's look at what my interest rate looks like versus how much I'm actually paying against my house. So my mortgage costs around £1,244 every single month. Only £352 and a few pence of that goes against my actual mortgage amount itself, which they call a principal repayment. I'm not a mortgage advisor. I'm not a broker. So excuse me if the terminology is incorrect. £352 is how much I'm paying against my mortgage loan amount. The rest, which is around £890, is going straight to the bank, and that is interest. £890 in interest. Now, in February next month, which is when my next payment comes out, I would have paid £8,174 against my mortgage amount and £20,000 in interest. I'm tired. I'm absolutely tired. I personally don't think there's anyone out there with a higher rate than me. If you have a higher mortgage rate than myself, then how are you coping? Like, what are your strategies? What are you doing?
2 years of payments. $8,174 went to his house. $20,000 went to the bank. That's not a scam, that's amortization, and it's how every mortgage on earth works. Interest is charged on the outstanding balance, and at the start, the balance is at its biggest, so the interest eats the payment. It flips eventually, but eventually is measured in decades. 2 pieces of hope for Jermaine, though. UK mortgages fix for 2 to 5 years and then reprice, so unlike Americans stuck with one rate for 30 years, his renewal is a genuine second chance. And overpayments, even small ones, go straight at the principal, which shrinks every interest charge after it. That's the cheat code.
We bought a house in 2025, and it might have been the worst financial decision ever. Let's talk about how much we paid in the year of 2025 toward this house. We're not going to include all of the repairs that we made, which totaled over $10,000, but we are going to talk about the actual mortgage payments we made because we went from a mortgage of $364,500 to today having a mortgage of $359,681. So overall, we paid a little bit extra toward the principal and we reduced the balance of the loan by $4,818.82 in the year of 2025. In that same time, we did pay our taxes on the property, which was $5,067.89. And then we paid interest toward the bank for the mortgage of $15,828.02. In the beginning of a mortgage, you pay more in interest because the balance is higher, and we do have an interest rate of 6.375% on this loan. So the interest adds up every single month. We're paying over $1,900 in interest on this loan. It's a little bit painful to see the totals at the end of the year. We paid almost $16,000 in interest, which just went to the bank to allow us the privilege of paying a mortgage payment every single month on this property so that we can eventually, in maybe less than 30 years, own the home outright.
So let's total year one of the American dream. Almost $16,000 in interest, $5,000 in property taxes, $10,000 in repairs. That's $31,000 out the door, and the loan balance moved $4,818. They spent $31,000 to own $5,000 more dollars of their own house. And before anyone says just don't buy then, here's the squeeze everybody's stuck in. The latest Redfin data says you now need about $109,796 a year to afford the typical American home, near the all-time record, while the median household earns $87,599. The typical buyer would be spending nearly 38% of their income on housing. So renting feels like burning money, and buying, as we just saw, is $31,000 for $4,800 of progress. Pick your poison.
My biggest financial regret that I've ever had in life was purchasing a home back in 2021 for these 3 reasons. Number 1, I had to put a 30% down payment on my home. My down payment was roughly around $330,000. I bought my 2-bedroom, 3-bath townhome for $910,000. And the reason why we had to put so much down at the time was just because of my income. I was only making around, I think, $100,000 to $110,000. That was the only way we could get the math work. Now, my monthly mortgage payment, if you factor in interest, taxes, HOA, etc., it's roughly around $4,200. If I was renting right now, I could probably rent a really nice 2-bedroom condo or apartment for $3,500. So that would save me $700 a month. However, had I just not bought a home, I could have taken that $300 and $10,000, $20,000 that I used as a down payment and just invested in the stock market. We all know the stock market bottomed in 2022, and fuck man, you see where it is today, right? I could easily have an extra, at the very minimum, a couple $100,000 in my stock portfolio by owning a home rather than renting one. And then number 3, owning a home is just really, really overrated. There's maintenance that you have to worry about. I've already had to replace an AC, and my home is like 3 to 4 years old. So it's actually really, really new. I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to replace a dishwasher, a washer and dryer. Owning a home is not cheap. There are a lot of expenses that come with maintaining a home, and you have to do it yourself.
Now, this is the rare clip in this series where I mostly agree with the math. When the bank makes you put $330,000 down because your income can't carry the loan, that's not a hoop to jump through. That's the market politely telling you the house is too expensive for you, and he found a way to overrule it. Renting the same lifestyle at $700 a month cheaper while $250,000 compounds elsewhere genuinely wins in a lot of high-cost cities. That's the price to rent ratio, and his was screaming rent. One caveat though, the stock market bottomed in 2022 is a fact he learned in 2023. Hindsight compounds even faster than the S&P.
Buying a property was one of the worst financial decisions I've ever made. This is mistake 12 of 21 mistakes that hurt. Growing up, everyone was telling me one thing: buy a property, get on the property ladder. That's when you made it. It was just what you did. What everyone around me saying that is what success looks like. They repeated it, and I believed it. So I did everything I could just to buy a property as soon as possible. And the flat was the easiest barrier of entry. I felt proud. I thought I had something to finally show for myself. The thing is, it is still an achievement. But what nobody tells you is that this is not an asset that builds wealth. It's a wealth trap that you find that out pretty soon when you try to leave. Service charge that can go up every year, the ground rent that increase over time. On top of unexpected maintenance bills that you didn't plan for. You own it on paper, but you have almost no control over what it actually costs you to hold it. Then the cladding crisis happened overnight. Buyers couldn't get mortgages, combined with the market flooded with new builds. Perfectly normal flats now became impossible to sell. Years later, people are still stuck. I am still stuck. And this is the part that nobody warns you about. That property can also go down in value, and that you might not be able to get your money back.
Quick explainer for anyone outside the UK, because this trap is uniquely British. Most flats there are leasehold, meaning you buy the flat, but somebody else owns the building and the ground under it. So you get a landlord you can never fire, who sets a service charge that rises every year, plus ground rent on a property you supposedly own. Then the cladding crisis hit after Grenfell. Banks stopped mortgaging affected buildings, and perfectly normal flats became unsellable overnight. She did what everyone told her success looks like and got locked inside it. Property can go down and you might not get your money back is the sentence the property ladder speech never ever includes.
I love my house. I'm going to start off by saying that. I love this house. When I was home shopping back in 2021, I chose this house on purpose. The only way I can describe it to people was that it's a house full of love, and you could feel it when you walked in the door. As soon as I walked in the front door of this house, I knew this was my house. I knew it. It sounds completely insane, but maybe you understand that when I walked in, I knew it was mine. And I do love this house. I love everything about this house. But I've come to the realization that I can't stay here because I can't afford to. And it's not that I can't afford the house payment. It's because there's so much wrong. I got a home inspection that wasn't worth the paper it was written on. And if you look back in my TikToks, I've done videos about the multiple things wrong at this house before. It has just been one thing after another, and the list of things that I have to fix is tens of thousands of dollars long. And me as a single person with one income, I can't afford to do all of this on my own. People ask me, what do you recommend for people buying their first house? I have no idea, because I also have friends who bought brand new homes that have issues. The one thing I would say is to just be financially and mentally prepared for the fact that owning a home can completely financially ruin you. And that's where I'm at today. This house has quite literally bankrupted me. And I'm devastated.
This one's different, and I'm not going to dunk on it because she didn't skip a step, she got the inspection. It just wasn't worth the paper it was written on, in her words. And here's the ugly fine print most buyers never read. Home inspectors in many states cap their liability at the cost of the inspection itself. Miss $50,000 of problems, and the refund is the $400 fee. She can afford the payment. It's the house itself, failing piece by piece, that's bankrupting her. On one income alone, her advice is the most honest in this entire episode. Be prepared for the fact that owning a home can financially ruin you. Sometimes you do it right and still lose.
2 months ago, I had to sell my house because I actually couldn't afford the mortgage anymore. For almost 2 years, I was paying the mortgage alone. No help. And nobody knew how bad it was. Doing that thing, robbing Paul to pay Peter, just to keep everything from falling apart. Drained my 401k, trying to hold it all together. There was nothing left. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and I was physically sick from the stress. Losing weight, my hair was falling out, and it actually needed medical help. Worst part, I didn't even know where I was going to live next. So I sold the house before foreclosure could even start. But that kind of fear, it changes everything. I started to learn how to build income online one step at a time. Not overnight, but I knew I couldn't keep living that way. You know me, I'm Terry. I'm rebuilding my life after divorce, creating income online without the hype. If you're rebuilding later in life, follow me, and I'm going to share what works.
A divorce turned a 2-income house into a 1-income house, and she carried it alone for 2 years until her body physically gave out. I want to point out the 2 decisions inside this story, because one was wrong and one was exactly right. Draining the 401k to feed the mortgage, wrong, and we've covered why. Retirement accounts are protected money, and the house took it anyway. But selling before the foreclosure could start? That was the right move, and it takes real courage. A sale protects your credit and whatever equity is left. A foreclosure takes both. If a house is eating you alive, selling it isn't failure. It's the last smart decision the house lets you make.
Well, I can't afford my house anymore. Not because I lost my job, I actually got a raise. My mortgage payment went up by a lot. When I bought my house a couple years ago, it totally felt manageable. Starter home, modest neighborhood, like nothing fancy. My payment back then was around $1,600 a month, so which is like comfortable for a first-time home buyer. Then out of nowhere, my payment jumped to over $2,400 per month. Just like that, no crazy upgrades, nothing extravagant, just a normal starter home. And then I was thinking to myself, like all of this could have been avoided had I just shopped my mortgage rate back when I was getting the loan. I started stressing and was searching online trying to see if there was any way I could lower my mortgage payment. That's when I came across FinCast on a Reddit thread for first-time homebuyers. You upload your loan estimate, it shows your real offers with lenders side by side. People are saving hundreds of dollars a month just by doing this. That's money for new furniture, repairs, just home buyer, homeowner stuff. Platforms like this are seriously so smart. Make it easy for you to protect yourself from these surprise increases and make sure that you're getting the best deal.
Did you catch it? Watch the turn at the halfway point. I can't afford my house, I was stressing, and then that's when I came across Fincast. This entire clip is an ad. The confession is the costume. And here's how you know beyond the sudden product placement. The story doesn't even match the solution. A payment jumping from $1,600 to $2,400 a few years into a fixed rate loan isn't an interest rate problem, it's escrow. Property taxes and insurance going up, which no rate shopping platform on earth prevents. We just watched 18 real people confess real disasters, and the 19th confession is a marketing script wearing their pain as a format. So one final rule for this episode: when the breakdown ends in a product link, it was never a breakdown. It was a funnel. And that's all that I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and I'll talk to you guys.